everybody, this is DJ Dank, and welcome to the DVD Dungeon, where I am bringing you cool movies to watch, add to your collection, stream, download, however way you can get them. But there's a lot of information out there these days, and you need somebody to give you some cool hints. So here's hint number one. I like mercenary films, where the good guys necessarily aren't that good. They're kind of paid to be good. But in a lot of ways, that kind of makes them more fun, because you never know exactly how anybody's going to react. So, of course, you can watch some of the classics like Wages of Fear, where the guys are transporting the nitroglycerin across the mountainscape and the jungle. Or you could watch Sorcerer, William Friedkin's remake of such. But one of my all-time favorites is Dark of the Sun. And this is Dark of the Sun with Rod Taylor, Yvette Mimieux, Jim Brown, who was a football player, and, of course, a stealing Kenneth More as a drunken doctor. Now, this was directed by Jack Cardiff. Now, Jack Cardiff is considered one of the great cinematographers of all time. He started in the 30s and 40s. He did movies like African Queen, The Red Shoes. He did Rambo 2. So, I mean, come on, cinema greatness. But anyway, he did direct a handful of films, and one of the films he did direct is Dark of the Sun. Rod Taylor plays a badass mercenary who goes into the jungle with his buddy Jim Brown to retrieve the diamonds from a safe from a diamond mine that had been overtaken by the Tutsi tribe, who are like on a hell-bent rampage to kill every white person they see. And this movie is for 1960, I believe it was 1967, for a movie from that era, it is surprisingly graphic and mean-spirited and just badass. I know it's one of Tarantino's favorite movies, and I know why. I've seen this movie like 3 or 4 times, and it just doesn't get boring. It's a really cool movie with a lot of cool stuff in it. And then I realized as I was watching this the other night that I like several mercenary movies, and one of the ones that I always loved on HBO when I was growing up as a kid, and I know that for my generation I'm a little Roger Moore damaged because, well, he's in the next 2 movies, but he was the current Bond, and he was kind of the current action hero of that era, unless you were watching Chuck Norris, so or Stallone, of course. But one of my favorites always was Wild Geese, which is kind of like Dirty Dozen meets James Bond meets whatever, but it's Richard Burton, Roger Moore, Richard Harris, Hardy Kruger, Stuart Granger. It's directed by Andrew V. McLaughlin, who directed one of John Wayne's movies, McClintock, and went on to direct several more of Roger Moore's non-James Bond films like Folks and Seawolves. And I think he's a really good working man actor. I mean, he's like a Hollywood director who does a good job. If you see his name on a movie, it's probably not going to be that bad and pretty watchable. So anyway, this is one of those I watched. Back in the day, it was poo-pooed and disregarded, but now has a big cult following. As a matter of fact, this DVD, and I know it's been released on Blu-ray, but this DVD itself has like a giant documentary that goes with it and lots of extras, and even warrants a 30th anniversary edition. So, I mean, it has some kind of following, or they wouldn't make it such a big hoopla out of it. But it's really fun, and unfortunately, it's a little heavy-handed, too. I mean, it's about the apartheid, during that apartheid era, back in, the late 70s, early 80s, and, if they could slam it on thicker, they would have gotten more ladles, because they just slick it on all the way from, the opening credit sequence, which is kind of James Bondy, all the way through to, the racist German helping the black diplomat out of the prison and helping him and sacrifice, all that stuff that just makes you go, I guess we're all the same. But, maybe that's what it takes, being hit over the head. And then that brought me back to another Roger Moore film, which is actually based on the same novel by the same author as Dark of the Sun, Wilbur Smith. He wrote lots of novels. He was actually one of the first authors I read as a kid growing up. I didn't read the classics. I jumped right from Wizard of Oz into Agatha Christie and adult reading. And so anyway, this Shout at the Devil, Lee Marvin, who was always an underrated actor. Don't let anybody say that. Because when I was a kid, Lee Marvin and Clint Eastwood were kind of looked at as like, oh, who cared? They can't act. They just stand there on the screen. Well, guess what? They're legends now because they were that cool because they could just stand there and be on the screen and be themselves and emote that thing that happens when you're recorded by a camera. So anyway, this one is kind of like a big romantic drama about two mercenaries at turn of the century Africa who go into this big elephant poaching scheme and end up making, the Jägermeister or the Harvey Kruger or Kruger, whoever, the German guy, mad and on a vendetta for them, and it eventually ends up with them trying to, climb on this big secret German warship and destroy it. And you know what? It's fun. A little long, but it's really fun. Now, when I saw this as a kid in 1976, I was 11 years old, and I will tell you this: I thought I had seen a movie that was a little too adult for me. It kind of disturbed me. I watch it now and laugh about it. But I remember during the day I came home and I was just like, wow, that was like a PG movie, and it seemed like really adult, maybe like R-rated. Remember those days. Anyway, this has been DJ Dank, and I hope you've enjoyed my trip down Mercenary Lane as I to give you some great, all these movies I love. They're in my collection, and I just hope that you get some enjoyment out of them. And again, find me on Facebook under Dan Karkoska, or watch my show Film Feud on underthegoldengate.com. And again, share, comment, all that fun stuff, so we can keep the name of cool movies going. So this is DJ Dank. Thanks for coming down into the dungeon.